Okay, welcome to MetaStock 14. My name is Tyson. While we're waiting for a few more people to join, I'm just going to go over the standard disclaimer things you guys are probably used to. Just wanted to, of course, mention my name is Tyson Gibby. As you can see there, right next to my name is my phone number. Of course, if you call that right now, you'll go to my voicemail, but I will be there after the webinar. If you have additional questions you're not able to ask during the webinar, or you'd like to purchase the upgrade or get a trial on the MetaStock software if you're a new customer. So also, of course, this presentation is about the new MetaStock 14. There are a lot of new features in it, and so I will do my best to cover them as good as possible within an hour. It is difficult to do so, but I will do my best. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat as we're going through. Just type them in. I'm more than happy to go over those and address those. If it's a question that is going to be coming up later in the presentation, then I'll just mention we'll talk about that later. Or if it's something that is just not on topic, that's not a problem either. You can ask it. We can address it afterwards. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get through. Let's see here. The disclaimer. Of course, this is a demonstration designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and any accompanying software and plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and technique presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of their software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. Okay. So, MetaStock 14. We're really excited about this. As I mentioned, we have a lot of new things in this software. Since we purchased ourselves back and own our own destiny, we've been really doing some great things in the software, and the more changes we make, the more quickly we can make additional changes. So we're really excited about that. The big thing here on MetaStock is we've changed the naming of our software a little to just to get rid of some confusion. There were some people that were confused, well, which version does end of day, which one does real time? So what we've done is the blue box you'll see is called MetaStock DC. That's for daily charts. So that's for daily charts and up, daily charts, weekly, monthly, annual. And then of course you'll see MetaStock RT. That's MetaStock real time or intraday charts, and that allows you to do anything from an intraday interval all the way up to, of course, the daily, weekly, yearly, annually as well. So that's the naming change there. What is new in 14? As you'll see, there's a big list here. In addition to this big list, each one of these, just the Power Console alone has a lot of huge changes in it. So we have the new Power Console. We have a new advanced search. These are designed to help you do what you want to do more quickly and more easily than ever before in MetaStock. For the people using intraday charts, we have tick bars now with default Fibonacci tick bars. So, and of course you can also create custom tick bars. We have some great new technology introduced in the forecaster. The forecaster is where it's a complete new build of technology, and so it's where we're introducing any new technology that we have. And then ultimately you'll see that integrate into the other features that MetaStock has traditionally had. So in the forecaster this time we've introduced being able to draw your own patterns or select your own patterns. So huge, in my opinion, very huge advantage. So you can create a pattern without a formula, and that's for doing forecasting in the forecaster. Of course, we'll get more into that too. We have new events in the forecaster. We also have a new ranking ability in the forecaster that really does a great job in letting you sort your results from the forecaster, and then of course the LCI Trading System. I mean, each one of these items we could probably, just get started on talking about for an hour. So if I seem like I'm rushing it, then you could just ask me to slow down, not a problem. So I do want to fit it in for you. The LCI Trading System, the nice thing about that, I will spend the least amount of my time on that simply because there are a lot of very complete videos that go a lot more in depth and do a lot better job than I could do on it, done by Logan Connors himself. He's the one who heads up LC Investment Analytics, or LCI Investments. And that system he is a private fund manager, and he uses this system to actively manage his private fund. So we're excited to have that in MetaStock. So just to get started, you'll notice this presentation will be a little different. I'm going to briefly mention what we're doing, and then I'm going to show you. I think, especially with the new ways we've made things easier to do, it's just better for me to show you the improvements versus read a PowerPoint to you. So I want this to be interactive. Like I said, if you do have questions, just ask. And then my phone number is right there next to my name. My name's Tyson, so you can just jot that down and call me afterwards. Call me Monday. I'll be in on Monday, or whenever is convenient for you. Glad to go over your questions and get you the special pricing. So, of course, in the Power Console, you'll notice there's a number of changes here, and some of these even have a number of changes that we've done to create that overall change. So I'm going to skip reading this to you because that's boring. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this to you step by step. So first off, when you open MetaStock, you'll notice on the Power Console, it looks the same, but it also looks different. It is, we have the Power Console tabs on the left like we've always had: Chart, Explorer, System Test, and Forecaster. However, notice immediately that the Power Console is now bigger, and that is because I can actually resize it. So whatever size you want this screen to be, it can be that for you. Okay, very simple change, but a very important one in my opinion. It makes it so you can easily read all the symbols and all the names of the symbols. And you'll notice also here there's no next button down here. So if I want to open a chart, let's say I want to open Hewlett Packard, all I do is type the symbol, and you'll notice here I have all of my settings on this screen. So if my settings are already default to what I want, then I can just simply open the chart, and that's basically just type the symbol, one click. Before it was several clicks. So it's very very easy to do. In fact, I'll just open the chart right here, and I already had HP open, so it didn't really. But yeah, you can see how it works. So next up here, you'll notice I have an option that says use templates periodicity. So if I come down here, and I have a template that I have created that uses multiple time frames in that template, or multiple periodicities, then I can go ahead and I can open that chart without having to change the periodicities after I've opened it. And traditionally that's the way it was in the past, and now that's no longer the case. So now you'll notice I'm opening that up, and I have my layout with all these different time frames. So we have up here, I have myself a 5-minute chart, and here I have myself a 10-minute chart, and here I have myself a 30-minute chart. Down in the left, an hourly chart, and then here I have a daily chart, and then finally a weekly chart. And I have all that just all set up. I just open it. So we go back to the Power Console. You'll notice here another really nice thing is I have what's called a tree menu, And you'll notice this is a familiar form of navigation to where I have the major branches of the tree, and I can get to the smaller branches by clicking on the triangle and opening it. So you'll see all of the lists under public online data lists, and so you simply just click on that arrow and it opens those up. And so I can see all of my, if I want to go to the US, if that's where I'm working, then of course I can go to Equities North America and see my exchanges there. And then I can go to the NASDAQ. And then of course in these trees, if I want to choose everything in the NASDAQ, I can click that and it'll select everything and I can unclick it. Now of course I'm in charts, and so I can't open 3,000 charts at once. That wouldn't work out very well. But I could do multiple charts and open them at once just by checking them from here. So that makes things a lot easier to do in MetaStock. Another thing that is greatly improved, and I'm going to touch on it now because we're talking about finding what we want right now, and that is the search. So there's a few things we've done to enhance the search. One of the first things is that you'll notice across the top we have different selections. You can search either by symbol or by name, and you can do a contains with, starts with, or ends with. So for example, if you know it's on a particular exchange, you can type that symbol, or excuse me, that extension, and it will pull up those items. By symbol, ends with, and then it'll pull up all those items in that particular exchange. Or if you're searching by name and you're not sure exactly what it's called, you would do name and then do contains, but say the name Boeing has Boeing in it, and you could do BOEING, and you're going to see everything that has Boeing in it. And we know we want the ordinary share, and so we see the symbols BA, and we can choose that. So so not only did we rebuild the search so it's faster, quicker, and easier, but we did also give you these different options. Any questions on anything I've talked about so far before I move on? We'll talk about something else we've done great in the search a little bit later, allowing you to isolate the search to just your own custom lists. For those of you who aren't familiar with custom lists, this is something we released as an update to MetaStock 13, and is of course still available in 14. You can simply right click on a list, go to manage your lists, and you can create, for example, if you're only trading US stocks, you don't really want the rest of the world, well then you can certainly then just choose that. Let's say you only do the NASDAQ and the NYSE, you don't really do any over-the-counter stuff. So then you can click Save and Close, and then that's gonna be what shows over here now. So notice now under my lists, I only have North America, and under North America, I only have the NASDAQ and the NYSE. Okay, so that's another thing we've done to really help you out there. If you go ahead and just open, if you have a custom list and you open a chart in that list, I didn't want to do that, but that's okay, it'll still work. So we've opened a chart in my multiple time frame, and now if I want to search, I can pull up the search, and notice now I have a source list option. So that means I am only searching the NASDAQ or that custom list that I built. And so I can so then I'm not getting all these things from other exchanges that I don't want. Okay, very, very useful and very, very nice. So I can of course switch to all public symbols if I want to, but right now I'm just, source list just means the list that I'm in currently. Now of course, since I'm in the list and I'm in this multi-time frame chart, you can see I can just click next, and I can have all this multi-time frame setting pull up for the next symbol in the list as well. Okay. All right, no questions so far, then I'll just keep moving on. Um, and also, if you don't have a question, if there's just something you might like me to talk a little bit more about one of these features, just let me know that as well. So as we move to the Explorer, the first thing you'll notice, of course, we have the Explorer tab. That's familiar to us. But then notice we have the tree menus, so that's new. And then we also have a second tree menu down here on the bottom with this split screen that you can adjust. So, of course, the top one are the explorations, and the bottom one are the instruments that we want to explore. And you'll notice that this list reflects my custom list that I just made, and the list that we have, the same list we have with the charts. So I want to run my exploration, and I want to run it on the NASDAQ. And notice I can choose whichever one I want. If I want to have it be Bill Williams, or I want to have it be, Robert Deal, I can choose that, and then I can click Start Exploration, and it'll simply run it. So you'll notice within just 2 clicks, I've set up a completely new exploration, and then 3 to execute. And so, but if I already have these settings set and I'm just doing my daily scan, all I have to do is click Start. It's just 1 click instead of the 4, 5, 6, 7 clicks that it was before, because you had to go through each one of those screens. So it's very easy and much faster. Another great thing, let's say I wanted to run 2 scans. So I'm going to run Bill Williams Profitability and the Deal Momentum filter. So if I click on Summary, you'll note here now that it gives me a summary screen of exactly what I'm going to do, and I can actually change some of the settings here so that I can have it be based on, this is an important one, the VWAP. A lot of people have asked about that. So that's something you can just change it to automatically, bid, ask, any of those fields. And so other thing too, if I don't want the Bill Williams Profitability to run first, I can simply just move that down. Let's see. So, excuse me. So that's the exploration. So notice we've really streamlined things with being able to get you to your analysis in the fastest and easiest way possible. And that's what we feel this screen is doing for you, and that's our intention on this screen. So like I said, new explorations you can set up very quickly. And then, of course, if you already have the exploration set up, all you have to do is click Start. No more clicking to next screen, next screen. Same principle in the system tester. So again, if you already have it set up and you're just running it again to do some new optimizations, you don't have to do anything but click Start. Okay. So let's see here. I'll make sure I'm not skipping anything. Jump back to the PowerPoint. Tick and range bars. So this is if you're real time. I don't know if we have anyone in here that's using tick bars. Now we have them, the true tick bars available in MetaStock, and you can do, as you can see here, from 1 to 10,000 ticks. And we have some predefined Fibonacci numbers in there for those tick bars, or you can set your own custom tick bars. Oh, let's see here. So another nice thing on the usability, if I am in a chart here, oops, excuse me. So just going to clean some of this up. I have way too many charts open, so I'm just getting rid of them. Okay. So if I'm just going to open a clean chart. I forgot to change my template again, excuse me. So I just basically have myself a clean chart for Hewlett Packard here. I don't have Hewlett Packard on my custom list yet. I can go ahead and excuse me, add to custom list. This is basically like add to favorites. So you can immediately, you're in a new instrument, you found something that you want to add to a custom list, you can just right click add to custom list, and then there choose the custom list that you're going to be adding it to. And you know, if it's a Bollinger Band scan or whatnot, I can simply add it to that list. And I can even have a list called favorites and simply add it to my favorites list. So that is something that's very nice in the new MetaStock. So as far as new things in the forecaster, in the Power Console, of course, we can go right to the forecaster. I'm going to load default records, which of course my default record setting is 1250 right now. And we can just open up, we'll do Boeing, and we'll start the forecaster from there. So one thing that a lot of people are excited about in the new forecaster is the ability to create their own patterns. And so this is in the forecaster only right now. We have plans to integrate it into the other tools in MetaStock later, something we're working on, but currently it's only in the forecaster. So what that is you simply, you can draw a new pattern, and you just come in here and you can name it. You know, we'll call it, just call it reversal. If we want it to show at the top, then I can put a number in front of it. I like to use about 8 periods. And so what we'll do here, looking for a reversal, and this is a simple reversal pattern. And that's really pretty much it. That's all I have to do that. And I just click Save. So notice up here on the left, I now have my new reversal pattern. And what I can do here, of course, I only want to see my reversal pattern right now, so we'll just select it, and then we'll put in. Okay. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the forecaster, I just want to mention briefly what this is. This is takes 10 different statistical analytic models, and it's going to do some probability forecasting using those models. So we have these events here. I created that reversal event, and so I'm going to go ahead, and we can see here as I mouse over it, the blue is my pattern, the red is what it's found, and I can loosen or tighten that tolerance, and so I can look at it has a match of 76%. So we'll go ahead and click on it, and then we'll see that cloud, the probability cloud, has now been projected out. So basically, when we're looking at a probability cloud, it's basically a heat map. So of course, the hotter it is, then that means the more probable or more likely. And as far as short term, we always want to see a cloud that it has a high concentration above closing price. And so you see this yellow, that we see the closing price of the bar where the event occurred, and then after that, there's a high probability. In fact, we see this yellow, the yellow is above the close. So that means after the close, this tends, when this event takes place, this reversal pattern, after that, this tends to go in an upwardly direction on the short term. You can see that as an immediate, because all of the yellow is basically above the close. So that's very key. You know, for short term, for people who are short term traders, that's something that you really want to see there. you'll notice on the longer term, it kind of evens out. We kind of have a half and half above until we get out into this lighter blue and this darker pink in here, where you have a major part of it above, above the close of that last event. So, because when you get the event, that's when you're going to place your trade typically, and that's typically about where you're going to get your entry. And so obviously you want to make money on that, and so you want to see things on the higher. You want to see the higher probabilities on the positive side if you're going long. And that's why I say you want to see the major part, the major half above this. So we can see then that we're in the 60-70%, especially this bump right here. We have a very high probability that we can make money on this. Now, if it looks really even or even below, obviously we don't want to go long on that position. Okay, so that's what this probability chart is telling you, and you can see that this particular long term, this particular event ends up being kind of flat. So it's not necessarily on the average a good flat or a good long-term trade. However, you do see right here at the end it bumping out of the probability range, and this is something that's usually a good sign, where you see it jump out of the probability like this, out of the probability cloud. That's a good indication that it's probably in an upward movement. Okay. Also, for those of you who aren't also familiar with the forecaster, we have, if you read down here in the commentary, you notice there are 21 of these events. So this cloud is pretty solid, and we're looking at the most recent event, 21 of 21, and this is just data down here talking about what happens after this event after certain time periods. 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So this is great information, and we'll talk more, especially if you're trading anything on a contract, how helpful this can be. So we'll just jump back to my PowerPoint. So the key changes here: draw patterns. We talked about that. You can copy patterns directly from a chart. So you just select the pattern, rank patterns, and then we have new events. So excuse me, we'll get back in here. So basically, let's see here. If I want to, let's say I'm here and I don't, the pattern I drew, I'm not as happy with it, but I just want to choose my own. I see a pattern, but I don't know how to draw it, and I don't want to write a formula for it. So I can just come in here, and I'm just going to select these bars. Okay, that's the pattern I'm looking for, and it says, do you want to capture the selected price formation as a user-defined pattern? So I click yes, and I'll just call it custom pattern. And you'll see here that it's basically drawn the pattern. It says, based on the bars you've chosen, this is the pattern I see, and it's over 3 bars because I chose 3 bars. And I can click save, and there's my pattern. And then, of course, what I want to do is click rescan. It's going to go out and it's going to then rescan based on that pattern, and I can actually see here the events forecasted based on that pattern. Let's see here. So I've got a couple questions here. And one is about Forex. We can definitely talk about Forex if we have time. If not, Dale, then you and I can talk about it. The answer is yes, though. Now, Stuart, when you're talking about event recognition, are you talking about the forecaster events that we're talking about right now? So it's a great question. I'm taking it you're wondering, could apply both a chart and indicator as an event recognition. Are you talking about are you talking about the indicators in MetaStock? is I do want to make it very clear right now, the forecaster is a separate part of MetaStock. It does not integrate with the other parts of MetaStock yet. So the answer is the only events that you can use currently are the ones here in the recognizer library, event recognizer library. Some of these are things that are in MetaStock because we built them in MetaStock and we built them here. And we've done that so you can scan in MetaStock for for particular events that are happening today in the forecaster, and then you can look them up in the forecaster. So the answer is yes, but only for these events. That is to change later as they become more fully integrated together as we rebuild the rest of MetaStock. So yes, moving averages, there are some divergence in here, and we do have some moving average stuff in here as well. You'll notice we have the MACD, cross up, cross down, negative and positive divergence, and then of course a number of moving average items or events. So the answer is to yes, but not the way you want it to yet. That is to come in the future as we finish rebuilding MetaStock, or not rebuilding because but just finish building it again. With all the newer technology. Does that answer your question there? And of course, let's see. Next up, I do want to show you the ranking. So if this is so looking at the forecaster. Let's go back to the reversal event. We'll do if we come here also, we're going to enable all of it. Now it'll take a little while for it to finish running this analysis, but I do want to mention one thing here. You'll notice that the forecaster runs a lot more quickly now. Anything that we're building that's new from this point forward in MetaStock, including rebuilding MetaStock, is leveraging new technology. Part of that is your if your computer has a video card in it, there's what's called GPU processing now, because GPUs, or graphics processing units instead of central processing units, are designed to do they're designed because graphics are mathematical formulas, and they're similar formulas. They're run over and over again, and that's ideal for MetaStock. So what we're doing is anything we build new in MetaStock, we're leveraging that processing power and that unique ability of your graphics card. And so you'll notice that if you have a graphics card in your system that is a GPU processor compatible, or processing compatible, then we're leveraging that and things will run a lot faster. So that's just a side note there. See, so Robert's asking if we can scan. I do want to reiterate that this does not scan. It does not integrate with the Explorer or actually scan, so to speak. What it does do is forecast. And so being able to draw these patterns and then scan for them is definitely something that we're looking at for the future as we integrate these two pieces. And thank you for asking that again, just so I could make sure I was clear on that. So, okay, and any questions on drawing patterns before I move forward on the ranking? So we're looking at the ranking, and you'll notice here we have this sorted by button now. There's some fun things you can do here. Of course, you can go highest profit potential, and that's going to sort them, down here on the left is highest profit potential. And you can take a look at those. So, for example, we have the three custom pattern. That's the one that we just made. That one's looking like it has the highest profit potential. And then I could sort by long only, right? And now we have the 52-week high that's looking like the best. Okay. So we could go ahead and we could look. In fact, we have an event today on that. We can actually look at that and look at this cloud we have here. This is a powerful cloud, obviously. Although we do see on the short term it's starting below the close where the yellow concentration is. We can see on the long term we have huge profit potential, and so that's very excellent. That's a great signal and possibly a great trade. So if we look then also this is one of my favorites. We have something called Most Distinct Forecast Cloud, and this I found gives some really unique looking clouds. In fact, if you look, this stock can have a 40% tendency to have a substantial gain on a long-term trade, and so that's actually very excellent information to have. And you'll notice too that even has 90% probability of being a profitable trade over a 15 to 30 day period, which after this event, which is highly significant. Not extremely profitable at that point, but definitely some good profit in there. And then you can see in the pink, you even have more so. So very, very interesting. If we look at the 400, 200 cross down, again, you can click on that. We see another very interesting cloud. We see this, after this event, we see an immediate spike on the short term. We have all the yellow above the close, and then actually you see it drop down dramatically after that, which is quite interesting. And then of course we also have a very hot cloud, a yellow spot up here with more profits. So it's quite an interesting cloud there. And then of course we have this 40% cloud going all the way up the top up here. So there's some definite nice potential on that. And you actually see here that on the end that this actually does mimic. Notice this event that we're looking at does not include the data that you're seeing over here to the right yet. It's not calculated into the equation, but yet the 40% probability that was going to happen, it happened quite almost exactly like the cloud looked. So that's quite interesting. Any questions on the sorting and ranking with the forecaster? We're starting to get closer to the end of the time, so I do want to make sure that we can cover everything that we'd like to cover and answer any questions that anyone has as well. So next up, I want to talk about the new events in the software, and to do that, I'm actually going to rely a little more on the PowerPoint just because that's faster and there's nothing really tricky about it. They're the new events, and these are events that I feel are quite key. Triple witching, for those of you who don't know what triple witching is, this is where the 3 contracts expire at the same time. So it's typically on something like an index. If you trade, the spider or excuse me, or the diamond, where you have the options, the future, and what's the other contract? You have all 3 of those contracts expiring at the same time. It happens 4 times a year. So what this does is it takes that date, those 4 times a year, and does the statistical probability analysis based on that event. And so you can see things. This is actually the S&P, and of course, as a typical contract goes, it generally starts poorly and finishes strong. After a triple witching event, you can see, of course, the orange on the short term is, it's bad. You have a 90% probability of losing money. But then as you hold that contract, you can see that you have an extremely 80% probability in here of making money. And then, of course, up in here, your 60, 70%. And then you can see your gains 5-10%. And in the longer term, we're here at 90 days, of course, 60 days. In the longer term, you have, this higher profit potential here. So, and you'll notice that if you're entering at the purchase price, the 0 price, there's a very low probability that you'd lose money according to this model. So that's the triple witching event. We already talked about the new ranking. You can, of course, choose, I forgot to mention, you can choose default sort criteria, and that's fairly self-explanatory. You can just have it set, pull up in a default way, so you don't have to choose it every time. And then let's see here. We did the drawing the patterns. Any questions on any of these topics before I move on? Okay. So now we're actually having more time than I expected here, which is a good thing. So LCI Trading System. Now again, as I mentioned before, this is a system developed by Logan Connors. He actually used to work here at MetaStock. He was recruited by a fund management team to become a private fund manager, and he's made that move and done that. He's actively trading the private fund and managing that fund, and using this is a system that he developed and was actually recruited to implement on the fund he's managing now. He calls it the LCI, and excuse me, it is based on, in its simple form, it's based on support and resistance and Fibonacci levels. He also uses pivots, and and he looks for major and minor reversals, and we'll touch briefly on those items. I mean, again, I'm not going to get really deep into his system because he has some excellent videos on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/MetaStock, and you can search for LCI, and also on his own website. When you purchase MetaStock, or MetaStock or the MetaStock upgrade, you get access to all of his training at no additional charge. So it's a huge boon because his system, because it uses fundamental basic trading concepts like support and resistance, like Fibonacci's, like pivot points, his training, even though he's doing it focused on his system, it also teaches you these basic trading concepts, and he does a great job with it. So it's a lot of excellent training just on basic trading concepts as well. So it has a bunch of indicators in here. The one thing that I like, and a lot of people are liking, even if they don't implement his full system, is that he has indicators in here that you just drop them on the chart, and they automatically draw support and resistance levels and Fibonacci retracement levels. And this includes major and minor. So there's an indicator for major levels and for minor levels. So you can either drop them on the charts independently or drop them on the charts together. He has specific volume exhaustion and expansion indicators, and specific overbought and sold indications, and then volatility. And also he's putting in trailing stops and setting profit targets all at the same time. So all the things that he's doing here are a lot of concepts that everybody a lot of traders want to implement, and most of them are simple in concept, but when you roll them together, they become difficult to manage all at once. And he has automated it all in this system. So it's extremely powerful, and the calculations can be quite intensive. And so what we've done is optimize them all into so that everything runs fast and smooth. And so it's basically, this is what a chart looks like when you do the automatic support and resistance identification. And I'll pull up a chart here in a second. Here's his Fibonacci retracements. Excuse me. And of course, his volume. Excuse me, his volume. So he's going to, of course, you want to be able to do is identify trend, identify volatility, identify exhaustion, or even expansion. All of these things are going to indicate a reversal, and they can contribute to indicating a reversal. And so, he's considering all these items. His just to touch briefly, his overbought oversold indicator is his modification to the Williams % R. He's done these changes because, one, he feels like it's easier to read, and then two, that identifies the overbought and oversold a little bit better for the way he likes to trade and the cycles he's following with overbought and oversold. So you can see he's got on the top there that histogram matching up with the candlestick charts and then the support and resistance levels. So you'll see that the dots are the excuse me, the dots are the stops, and you'll see these here. We have a bounce. These are bounce points. So he's identifying those for you. So those are, you know, a reversal. We have a major and a minor one. He calls them bounces. Some people call them pivots. And here we have his scoring. This is another thing that's really nice, is that he scores the strength of any particular security, and there's a scan for it actually, where you can scan the NASDAQ or you can scan the S&P, and you can get a score on any of those instruments or securities. I'll show you how that works here in a minute too. Of course, he's got some templates, so I'm just going to pull up. I'm just going to pull up a chart here in one of his templates. Oops. And his stuff is all going to have LCI in front of it. So we just come down here to LCI, and we can go with his main template. I loaded a little bit too much data there, so we'll just zoom in. And so here, of course, we talked about the dots. We talked about the Fibonacci levels. You can see those. And then, of course, the support and resistance levels. Here's his volume indicator, indicating exhaustion, expansion. And then, of course, up here is overbought, oversold. Now, you don't see all the items that he's talking about on the chart. And that's just because he's got a lot of things that are being calculated here, but they are all considered in the signals. And so if I pull up the commentary on the expert advisor, it's going to, you know, give me a little mini education here. And so let's see here. I'm just open. Oops. Well, that'll work too, just to make it easier to see. Wasn't quite what I intended there. But if you look here, we have, he's going to be telling you here the whole breakdown, and you'll see here that all the items that we've talked about, he actually identifies and links straight to his training. So you can go right there and you can get training on any of these topics. So let's actually let's do this really quick. Oh, yeah, let's see, I closed the wrong chart, excuse me. Okay. Okay, so here, this gives us a better view of the commentary. And we'll actually go and look at the commentary to where he's got, you know, it's a day-by-day commentary, just like the expert advisors, if you're familiar with how it works in MetaStock. And you can see that as I go through it identifies it day by day. It tells us if we're bullish or bearish, if we're overbought or oversold. Any questions on the LCI? Now again, this is normally we would sell this add-on for $300 to $500. With our special relationship, obviously with Logan, we are including it in the MetaStock, in the upgrade to 14 or in MetaStock 14 at no additional charge. So it's all right in there. Okay, so we don't have any questions on the LCI. Excellent. Well, I'll just open up to general questions. We have a few more minutes here just right at the end where I can do any type of general questions you might have about the upgrade. Looks like we don't have any general questions either. For those of you who own MetaStock, I can actually get you the MetaStock, at the special promotional rates for the upgrade. If you're end of day and you have version 13, the upgrade's just $129. If you're MetaStock Pro and you're upgrading, the upgrade's just $199. So there's some nice savings there because the normal prices are obviously higher than that. Normally it's $149 and $249. In addition, the Unleash the Power MetaStock 14 tutorial, it's an ebook with video tutorial, and it covers all of these features plus other things that are key in MetaStock, and that normally costs $99. You get that for free with your upgrade as well. And if you don't own MetaStock, then I can get you a special 90-day trial on the software as well, and still get you that $99 tutorial for free also. So just give me a call. My number is right there. My email. You can click on the sales chat and ask for Tyson. I'm obviously not on the phone right now, but I will be in just a few minutes. So let's see. Do we have any? Brian asks, how do you set the workspace default? And Brian, I would love to go over that with you. It depends on what you mean by workspace default. You can have what we call layouts and things like that, and you can also have a default where the MetaStock will just open to a certain, pretty much anything you want, layout, template, etc. So what I would suggest is that we can talk a little bit afterwards about what you want to do as your default workspace, and I can better answer that question, and what you want to have in it and how you see that working, and then we can get it. Either I can tell you how to do it, or I can get you to support and they can tell you how to do it too. So just give me a call or send me an email, and I'll call you and we'll get in touch on that. Let's see. Any other questions before I close out the webinar? Great. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending today, and look forward to your feedback on the webinar. If you're looking to purchase the MetaStock, like I said, or you're looking to get the upgrade, just give me a call or send me an email.